So we are live. Welcome everybody who is in the YouTube live chat, etc. If you would like to join in the Jitsi meeting directly, please feel free to follow the link that I have put into the chat for you. So today we are going to have a look at the new release of QGIS that is coming out. That is, of course, 3.36. And you will see that yesterday I put up the new video changelog, which is kindly made for us by Marios. I always try and give him accreditation because he really puts a good effort into making a really great video summarizing all of the features that are coming out with the newest release. So please go and check that out. I saw last night already like 1,000 people have looked at it, and I sneakily put it out. So please definitely have a look. But for now, Tim already is sharing his screen and he's going to take us through some of the cool new features that we can expect in 3.36. Over to you.
Yes, so just for some context, so the release will be tagged, it's probably been tagged already, I haven't actually looked on GitHub. Usually sometime during the afternoon on the day of the release, then Jürgen Fischer, our wonderful release manager, goes and makes the tag, and you would find the tag in the source code down in here somewhere. You'll see something like final 3.36. There we go. So he's already tagged it. Let's see when he did that 3 hours ago. So that means that basically the source, the release is actually the source is frozen and stuck onto that new version. And then the next step is for the packages to get made. And the packages for different operating systems happen at different times. So we don't announce the release when all the packages are ready. We announce the release when the source code is ready. Typically, Jürgen will have the Windows release packages available shortly afterwards, probably the same day. And if you're on other operating systems, could be weeks, days, months, I don't know, it depends on the operating system when you get your new version. If you're on NixOS like me, then you can go and build anytime and get the latest one, or if you're building from source, you can build anytime and get the latest one. So then also just every time we do a release, we have a process that we follow to describe the release, and that we do on this website here called changelog.qgis.org. This is just actually really the authoring site. Once the changelog is complete, then it gets published over to the main QGIS website. And at the moment, we are just waiting for the for every release there'll be a list of the notable fixes that came in that release as well, because QGIS, the funds that we get from your contributions, donations, sustaining members, etc., they are all that doesn't look so good, does it? It's got some formatting issues, but maybe on the other one, I'll go to QGIS.org. The funds that we get from you, we use to fix bugs and make improvements to QGIS. And I just wanted to show you kind of how that surfaces on the website. I seem to be in Spanish. Am I in Spanish again? So, for example, if we go to 3.34, the last release, and then we look down at the notable fixes, you can see this long list of bugs that were fixed using money that was donated to the QGIS project. So we hire various of the core developers to QGIS, and they focus on things which are, stability or giving you that experience. So just want to give a shout out to all the people that donate money. Your money actually does get used to make substantive improvements. You can see just how many bug fixes there were in the last release, and we're just waiting for that list to come into the current release changelog, and then we will publish this list over to the new website, or soon to the new website as well, I guess. And so when we're leading up to the release, what we do is the developers have been contributing features. They will tag features to say, like, it's something that should be mentioned in the changelog. Not everything is, that noteworthy that we want to tell you about it. So if it was just, I don't know, fix the typing, spelling error on a word somewhere, we won't mention it in the changelog. So they mentioned those notable changes, and then Charles Dixon Paver, he worked silently away in the background to actually compile this whole changelog from all of those messages that people attach to their feature changes. And then Marius, as you mentioned, makes this beautiful YouTube video for us, summarizing all the new features. And then Richard Davenford, another community member, goes and takes this page and pulls it into the QGIS website and publishes it there. So besides the actual developers doing the coding in QGIS, the release process got a whole team of people that are all doing different pieces in this workflow, just to tell you about what came out in the new release. And then, of course, Jürgen Fischer, that I mentioned, does the actual tagging of the release, and Anita Graza makes the splash screen for every release. So these beautiful splash screens that you see each time. She usually goes and approaches somebody from the place that we named the release after and asks them for a nice map, and then she'll, she usually colorizes it green and comes up with a nice splash screen to go with that release. So yeah, just to give a little shout out to all the people in the background that are doing all this stuff, and I've surely left out a whole bunch of other people that have their own part in the process as well, just to get the release out to you. Some of those other people are also doing testing and triaging tickets and a lot of other thankless things that they're not glamorous jobs, but they're just people doing their little piece to help in the background. So anyway, okay, so that's my thank yous first. So when we look at this changelog, we can find the new features are sort of organized in different categories. And I'm not going to be able to demonstrate them all because I do have some issues on my computer with my 3D stuff, and there's a lot of 3D things, so some of them will just look at the pictures. But I did make a little demo of the first one. So each of these features will have a little bit of information with it, and sometimes they'll have a screenshot or a video. But one of my favorite things to do is just go through the changelog and just open up QGIS with one of my projects, and then try out the new features on that project. So here I'm showing you, for example, this new feature that's been added for movie mode for the animation framework for QGIS. So up until now, you could do animations based on time. But there's a use case for being able to just do animations based on the passage of a number of frames. So you could say, for example, I want to have 100 frames, and then run a counter in the background, incrementing the frames whenever you play the temporal controller, and then that exposes expression variables that you can then incorporate into your cartography or into the map, so what have you. So for example, in this layer here, I have gone and set my temporal options to redraw layer only. So it doesn't really have, it actually does have temporal data, but for this use case, I just told it whenever the animation of the temporal controller increments its counter, then it should redraw this layer. The other layers that don't have this check, they're cached and they just re-rendered in the same way, so they're nice and quick. So that means that I can then go and create an expression. So for example, this marker line, I've told it to render these dots somewhere along the line based on the percentage offset, and I'm able to make an expression like this, where I take the, let me just resize that a bit. I take the, okay. I take the frame counter, the frame number, which is the number of the position of the slider basically, and then I take the total frame count, which is the number that I set here, and I do something with it. So in this case, the percentage needs to be expressed as 0 to 100. So I'm basically finding out the fraction of the 100% that I am along the line, and I apply that to this distance offset for this pointer along the line. And then I also just did a similar thing to change the size so that the little dot will grow as I move along the line. And that's using this new function that's been added there. And then we do that, then we can get ants running around a map. And you don't have to have time component in your map, or I used to sometimes would fake a time component if I wanted to do something like this, like put a fake incrementing time on as an expression on the layer.
That's pretty cool. Is the Jeremy in this room Jabulani Jeremy? Because he'll be very excited to know about this.
That's me. I'm here.
Yay! What do you think?
This is going to be fun to implement. I've got ideas on what I want to play with, but it's just, getting it to work on my end.
Yeah, so if you're into this kind of stuff, we also have the animation workbench that Jeremy and I have been doing as a fun side project, which is in the plugin repo, where you can do this plus a whole bunch more stuff, like to make animated movies from your maps. This you can also then write out the frames to a folder and then take the frames of your animation and turn them into a video if you want to. So yeah, you can do all sorts of fun stuff with that. Thanks to Niall, I believe, was the one that added that. Yeah, to Niall. Okay, and then there's been a bunch of other things which we can just try to run through and have a look at them. Some of them we can try and demo if somebody wants us to have a look at this. And this one is basically if you've set custom properties for a layer, then they now show up in the metadata. So it's just quality of life improvement from George de Silva. I think he's the same George that helped us back when we were migrating our issue tracker from Redmine to GitHub. The next one is where you can set the 3D extent of your 3D scene on the canvas. So this one I did have a play with as well. My 3D doesn't work very well on my computer now. I need to go and phone a friend and find out why. But let's give it a try again and see. Maybe it's because I don't have a proper accelerated or proper video card on my computer. But oh, that's fantastic! It works when I come to demo. It's usually the reverse, right? When you go and demo something, then
it's going to snow. That never happens.
So at the moment, I'm looking at the same scene. These trail segments, I could just offset them a bit more to make them stick out of the landscape a bit better. But if I want to set my scene here to match something on the map, before it's been a bit sort of awkward to do, but now I can go and actually into the settings here to general, and I can say show the 3D scene on the map view, which will put a red box onto the map display. But then I can also go and actually capture the area that I want to set for my 3D area from like that, and then apply it. So you can see now that it's now drawn here, the box that's being shown in 3D, and then it's set the clipping extent to my map to that same box. I can't believe it just suddenly started working for the demo, because normally it was not showing anything on the for the elevation map. So that's quite nice. Just it's always been a bit fiddly to be able to go and set your 3D area, but now it's kind of easy. You can just drag it in your 2D map and then set it.
The QGIS gods smile upon you.
The next one, okay, I'll try some of these on the fly. Maybe Ethan and the others in the room can help me demo things on the fly if you guys, because some of you guys are better at this stuff than I am. But the next one is about the raster full symbol type. So this is when you've got a polygon. Were you trying to say something?
I think someone just entered the room not on mute. That's all right.
So I'll make a little scratch layer, and I'll just make it a polygon, and then do something basic there. And if I draw a new polygon here like this, for the cartography for that, I can set, sorry, I'm still in 3D mode, let me not do 3D mode. I can set a raster fill here. Like this, and now, okay, I think we found a small bug as well in the new feature, because you can see the new feature has made its way in here, but there is actually some, my assistant has just come to, to help with the demo. There is some user interface issue here because everything's got a bit squished up. But basically I can, let's go choose a picture. I'll just make a screenshot, not using my keyboard shortcuts because it doesn't work in Wayland, as we were discussing in the pre-chat. I'll just make something like this to make some kind of texture, and then I'll do it with something that will show the effects well. And I'll say something like that, and then I'm going to pick that up on here. And now I can actually tell it what the width should be versus the height, versus, so I can set individual scaling properties basically for each. I think I went a bit crazy with my options there. Let's go. Something like that. So you can see I've made it wider than I have made it high. So that's it's just more cartographic quality of life options for you there.
Maybe I'm hungry, but that looks like a stroopwafel.
Like a what?
A stroopwafel. You know those? Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. All the Dutch snacks. The next one is a nice one as well. That's a fill for lines. So if we make another scratch layer here, make it a line layer this time. And I go and again just capture a couple of lines. Let's do it like that, and then if I make this line a bit thick, like this, now I can go and I can say fill line, and then I can fill this with whatever fill type I want to use, like any of the normal gradiated fills or other fills that you can use in QGIS. And probably I can do something like this just to make that. I wonder how I can get the caps. I'll have to go and do a little cheat here just to get the outline off here like this. And then
Can you try it with the merged renderer?
with the which renderer?
The merged renderer for the single symbol. Change it to like merged or something. I'm curious on how that looks. That's the all the way up top where it says single symbol.
Yeah, so
merged features.
Yeah. And then there we go. Okay, so
okay, it doesn't work the way I had thought it was going to work.
You thought it was going to just draw across the whole.
Yeah.
But the merge only merges the features which are contiguous or which are like if these two have the nodes that start and end at the same location, isn't it? Or does it merge everything? Actually, I don't know. Anyway, that's cool. There's lots of room for new cartography tricks with that.
I'm gonna have to update the cheat sheet.
Yeah, you have to update the cheat sheet. The mesh labeling. So now this is not my forte mesh stuff, but I do have a mesh kicking around here. Try and keep my project in a more or less sane state of affairs. So that layer that we were looking at before is a mesh layer here. So now, according to that, I can go and label the vertices of the mesh. And I have not tried this before, but apparently I can go over here. If I just write, let's put a literal string in there. I don't know, we'll have to get the mesh guys to come and show us how to actually do it. Oh, there it goes, there it goes. Yeah. That's pretty nice. So that means if you've got, for example, a height measurement at the intersection, at each mesh intersection, you can actually go and label it now. So that's a nice new feature. I should get a point for everyone that I managed to demo successfully, and lose a point for everyone that I don't. I think I'm doing, except for this one, I'm doing 4 out of 5 so far.
QGIS release bingo.
And then, okay, this new 3D stuff here. So this one is when you're rendering 3D lines, you can use a data-defined setting to change the color. So I can try to demonstrate that again. I'm just going to get rid of these labels again. So if I've got 3D lines like these ones here, and I go and set the options here, render a simple 3D. I can go over here and I can choose an expression to make the color. So I'll have to go and make a color expression, I guess. Anybody got their favorite triplet of color values? I'm just picking something completely random there. So now I could use that expression when looking at my map in 3D. So let's see if it draws again. Last time it drew, right? But now it's back to not drawing. I have to make a new 3D map every time I want to see it draw. Let's see if my hypothesis is correct. Also not. Yeah. Okay, so -1 bingo point for me there because my 3D things are not drawing. Anyway, that's pretty nice functionality because the ability to style stuff in 3D is it's always been sort of a little bit behind what you can do in 2D. So it's nice to see more and more features that allow you to customize how your 3D maps come out.
Absolutely. Andreas Newman in the live chat says one of my favorite new features in 3.36 is the GEOS coverage simplify processing algorithm that allows to simplify polygon data without getting gaps and overlaps.
Yeah. So it's this one here. If you ever used Visilingen algorithm, which gives you, or mapshaper.org, if anybody used that, mapshaper.org. And you can drop a shapefile or something in there. And then find a shapefile quickly or a JSON file. And then if you do a simplification in there, it will preserve the topology whilst simplifying the features. So let's see if I can find some polygons of some sort. I got myself out now because I've got some country boundaries ready to rock and roll here. Land cover would probably do it. I'll take this one here. So if you've got something like this, unfortunately, it's best shown with contiguous polygons, which this one is not. But you can go in here and use this Visilingen algorithm here to then sort of slide the simplification along. You can see that it simplifies the features very nicely. But what it does is it makes sure that if two adjacent features share a border, that the border is maintained between them. And we could never do that before in QGIS. But now we can try to do the same thing in QGIS here. So we can go, I'll make another scratch layer. So if I put two polygons side by side, just want to avoid intersections, avoid overlaps. I should have made them a bit more complex. I'll just put right, and then if I take this layer and I run it through that tool, then I'll be able to simplify them whilst it should still maintain the boundaries between them all. So that new tool is called coverage. Let's see. Simplify coverage. And then we run it. Is this the part in the show where Tim crashes QGIS for the first time?
And Jeremy plays his elevator music.
Andreas needs to come onto the chat with us and show us working with this data.
Absolutely.
You shouldn't struggle with just a small set like that. I might be coming to hit the kill button in a few minutes. So, anyway, well, once they fix that properly and it works nicely, that would be great. It would be a great addition.
Brilliant stuff.
There are a whole bunch of other 3D things with dealing with how you can style Pong. How do we say that? Pong materials? Fong? I don't know if it's Pong or Fong. Which is great to just improve the options for cartography again in 3D. I think my computer, I think QGIS has crashed and it drove my computer crazy in the process. My mouse is now scrolling over my tabs when I mouse down. We definitely lost QGIS in the process there. This feature is also a nice feature. If you're working with point clouds, you can now set the size of the points that make up the point clouds. So that means that if you've got some things, for example, vegetation, where you want to use a larger point, and then other ones where you've got buildings, where you want to use a smaller point, you can, for each classification, you can specify the size of the points used, which allows you to make more realistic looking 3D scenes from your point data.
Andreas has popped up in the comments. He says he can't unfortunately pop in, but he does say that you need a proper contiguous data set. And if you did you save the layer? And then, sorry about that, it worked for me well earlier. So the joys of live demos.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I saved the data set. I've saved my edits, but I don't know if I saved. I mean, maybe I can try it on a file-based one, but I'll take it offline and try it.
Great, thanks, Andreas.
Thanks, Andreas. My scroll is back again. So, another nice thing that's been added is this render as a service. That we've got 2D point cloud. And if you've got a point cloud and you're rendering it in 2D, it will actually generate a triangulated surface from the points, and you can see the difference here. So on the left is just the point cloud rendered as. I thought it was the one on the left is without it, and the one on the right is with it. But it sort of fills in the blanks between the points and gives you a more smooth looking output. So that's very exciting. Then there's been improvements to the way that point clouds are rendered and cached, and it's going to make it just quicker to work with point cloud data. These are just sort of quality of life improvements where you can use minimum maximum instead of min max in aggregate functions. They do the same work here. This one is interesting if you are doing anything where you like iterating, like in this example, iterating over fields. You now have a counter so that you can actually get the iteration number in your expression, which is great. This one I'm really pleased about. It's been always a real pain for me. And what it does is it allows you to edit the expression inside of a text string properly, when before, if you had, for example, in the map layout, map composer, if you were building up a string to show on an element, and then you wanted to come and edit the expression again, it was always a pain to do it. But now you can edit it. So we can try to do a little live demo and see if the demonstration gods will smile on me. Just go here and make a blank one. Okay, so if I've got a label, for example, like this, and make the font really big, like that, and then I'm using an expression for the label. Before, what I would do is I'd go here and I would say, for example, let's take the QGIS release name, for example, and I'll put that in the expression. Then it wraps that inside of this square bracket % block. And then when you wanted to edit that again, you just get this blank thing. Or if you tried highlighting it and editing it, you would also just get a blank thing. But now it will actually be smart about picking up that there's an expression inside of there, and then let you come and work on the expression some more. And that's gonna just make your life a lot easier while you're building up your dynamic labels and things.
That makes my life so happy. It's one of the things that really used to irritate me if we were making, atlases, etc.
Yeah. There's another quality of life thing here, which is for, I won't try to demo because I don't know if I've got the data set with enough fields in it, but if you've got many fields in a data set and you're trying to organize them, like delete columns or what have you, it was always a fiddle to go and select and deselect. But now you can like just group select a whole bunch and then just toggle the selection, and we'll just uncheck those ones. So that's really nice. Ease of life, quality of life. This one's also a bit sort of under the hood, but if you ever use the QGIS process plugins helper, which is like a command line tool to if you type just QGIS, you get QGIS on its own, but if you type QGIS _ process, then you can actually run a processing model from the terminal, which is great if you're trying to do automations and like trying to run something like every night based on the data in your database or what have you. But there would be a time lag between running this while it waits for all the plugins to load into QGIS. But often you don't need those plugins. Now you can run it with this skip loading plugins, and then it will just, but you need to be using just the built-in QGIS processing tools, and then it will run much faster. There's been some improvements to the processing logs as well. So when you have logs that generate outputs like file paths and things like that, it will now make those clickable links so that you can actually go and look at the log file or whatever that you produced from your processing workflow. The coverage one, we tried that. I won't try it again. Maybe I should try it again at the end. We've got a few minutes and see if I can get
Ethan says check the PR for the 2D triangulation thing. The examples there are really neat.
All right. For the labels, for the I know what you mean.
Yeah, there's a link for the PR in the changelog.
Oh yeah, that would be the smart way to do it, right? Yeah.
I've always maintained there's an intelligent Amy and then there's a me, and the two don't tend to meet.
Yeah, so wow, you can really see the difference there, right?
Wow,
Um,
that's amazing.
wow. Yeah, so fantastic. Yeah, that's really exciting. I just need a drone with some LiDAR sensors on it. I can go and play with this stuff too. Or to live in Holland where they've got the whole country flown by drone, by LiDAR. Thank you, Ethan, for that. This thing, maybe somebody in the room knows. I have no idea what B3DN is. Oh, it's a 3D format. I won't go and Google it now, but yeah, basically there's more support for reading 3D tiles. That's out of my knowledge space, how that works. There's been some improvements just dealing with when you're dealing with SharePoint and other things, when you get redirects, that QGIS can handle them more gracefully. I don't know how many people know that. I think many people don't know that in the, I forget which version was added. I think maybe 3.34, 3.32. There was support for sensors added to QGIS. And now, and what that means is that you can connect a physical device like temperature sensor or a GPS or other sensor types to QGIS, and then actually have them, the data from those devices pulled into QGIS directly, and for example, written into your database or what have you. I think there was an open day session on that, wasn't there, Amy, from Mathieu?
Yes, there was.
So somewhere, if you go and look in the previous events, you could be able to find that there. And he's been basically, actually by somebody else now, but Georges Tornero has been improving that so you can work with different baud rates, and basically opens up more devices that you can connect to from that. Another nice thing that Ale has added is that you can now go from the browser over to the data source manager, which is really convenient if you're working with data sources which have a whole bunch of configuration options in the data source manager, but it's always been a bit of a fiddle to go get your way back to the data source manager from the data source. But now you can just right click in the menu and pull up the data source manager. So that's a really nice addition. Also on the census topic, there's now support for sensor things, which is the OGC standard for working with sensor data. So I haven't tried it out yet, but I guess you can pull in and aggregate and filter and map IoT sensor data, which is exciting. Say farewell to the OTB, the Orfeo Toolbox provider. So Orfeo Toolbox is a very, very feature-rich and capable remote sensing toolbox. I guess you can do other things with it besides just remote sensing stuff, but and that was always integrated in QGIS, but now it's been stripped out. And that's part of the longer term strategy to move third-party integrations into plugins, external plugins, not like shipped with QGIS. It makes the code base smaller. It makes the dealing with difficult issues less of a hassle now, because now they're not our responsibility to deal with, like, why is OTB not working properly. Pushes the responsibility onto the actual people that know the tools very well, and they can write the plugins and integrate with QGIS like that. And the plugin API is so rich that there's not much you can't do with a plugin to integrate well with QGIS. So say goodbye to the OTB provider, but hopefully that will be followed up with the Python plugin soon, and we'll get to be able to use all that functionality again in QGIS. There's a bunch of improvements relating to WFS support and dealing with complex schemas and stuff. And this is all, if you live in Inspire and all these, can I say nasty? Yeah, nasty standards. I mean, they're fantastic, but they're also kind of like a pain to work with. But there's just more capabilities added for dealing with complex schemas where you've got nested documents inside of your response. QGIS server can now do get map in PDF, which is nice. So that we always had the get print proprietary addition to QGIS, but now you can actually do WMS get map, and it will return its responses in PDF. I'd like to see a nice example of how that's, what you can use that for. But sounds interesting. There's a lot of things relating to QGIS server here, which are about just the granularity of the types of requests you can make. So, for example, you can ask, when you do a get legend graphic request, you can ask it to give you the JSON rule back for that get legend graphic. So that means that you can, if you're building like your own web application, which internally does a get legend graphics request, you can actually pull out parsable information for the legend, and then build a nice rich user interface around it. You can also use get feature info to get the map tips back from QGIS. So if you've ever played with map tips, there are these things over here that you can set up for every layer. So for example, I can go into a layer and set up the map tip here to show the name or some other random thing like that. And then when you hold your mouse over the section, then it shows, it's supposed to show the tip. It's showing a white box for me. It's probably a Wayland issue again for the other Wayland Linux users out there. There's still some display issues with Wayland, but now you can actually query those tips via the WMS get feature info request with this extra flag. You can also ask it to give you just the map tip and not the whole feature info as a reply. Thanks to Bjorn for all these contributions. And just more and more WMS capabilities here, so you can skip the name attributes for the WMS response. There's a new change here for the DB manager, which will use the active layer when importing vector data with DB manager. Is DB manager still with us? When is DB manager going to get killed? Let's see.
This is a great quality of life improvement.
So let's unpack what it's doing a little bit. So when you want to import a layer, it defaults the pull down to the one that you currently had selected in the main map window. Is that right?
DB manager is usually how I import data sets into my Postgres database.
I usually just drag and drop them into the browser. But I think what this is doing is basically just defaults this pick list to the one that you currently have active, right?
Yeah, the default input used to be, I think it was like the first layer or something like that. It's nice that it now finally defaults to the currently selected layer.
I actually have not used DB Manager for probably a year or something now, because all of the stuff that Alessandro Passotti has been doing to you can see I don't even have it enabled in my QGIS here, to integrate all the features of DB Manager into QGIS proper, into the browser panel in particular. So like it's now got to the point where if you're in like a, I don't know, in a database environment, you can do most of the things that you could do in DB Manager. I guess there's still a few that have got to come. You can, run SQL or remove tables or what have you. And for importing stuff, I just have 2 browser windows open. That's why, in case you ever wondered why we have view panels, and then there's browser and browser 2. And when that was first added, I was like, why is that a bug or what have you? But actually, no, it was added by design so that we could have a setup like this where you've got 2 browser windows open, and then say you want to drag a layer from here into some Postgres database like this. You can then just drag them and drop them between the 2 data sources, and magic will happen and the data will just get imported.
Does that drag and drop into the browser pop up that same panel where I can set like the FID and all that other stuff? No?
No, it just does a direct. It just does a direct import of the exact same layer. So if you want all those extra settings that you get, like in the screenshot there, all these things here, then at the moment you need to use DB Manager, but I guess at some point all these features will be migrated into that sort of user interface on the browser. So that we can eventually get rid of DB Manager. There's a whole discussion about it. I don't know. There were some people who want to keep it and some people who want to get rid of it. I was in the let's get rid of it camp if Ale brings everything into the browser because it's so much more convenient. Uh, 3D views are now available in PyQGIS. So if you're a PyQGIS programmer doing plugins, you can open, create, list, and close 3D views. Hopefully your 3D view actually will show you your map when you open it. Not like mine. I think I've just got some issue on my system. Which is very exciting. And that's the end of the change set for this release. This release is also, it's not a long-term release as well. I think we're on a long-term release now. So if you look on this table on our website, you can see what the designation is. So this is going to be a long-term release. Then we'll have a bunch of bug fix releases on this for the next year until the next long-term release. So I guess that's it for what's new. I hope you all enjoy using the new release, and thank you all to all the developers who made all that amazing stuff, plus all those other people I mentioned behind the scenes who help actually prepare the release. And I didn't even mention translators and document writers and all the other people that are doing the amazing stuff. Are there any questions in the chat? Other suggestions of things to show? I can try Andreas's workflow one more time, see if I can crash QGIS twice in a row. Let's have a look. I'll try to find some country boundaries. Need to scratch around my data sets quickly here. trusty folder full of shape files.
Thank you, everybody.
Let's see if we can finish the.
Hi, Tim. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, great. Just Selma in the comments says, thank you, Tim. This is a very helpful for documenting 3.36 features.
Good. Hi, Selma.
Just a quick note: we do have 3 minutes left of this session, just so we're.
We'll end with the glorious replay of the Simplify tool, but this time with it working. Let's hope. So
let's do it.
Let's run it. Oh, I've got 19%. So, oh dear. Okay, I think we might have a bug fix or two. Oh, there goes. Q just died. So yeah. Definitely a bug to get fixed, but anyway, thank you everybody, and enjoy 3.36. Thank you to everybody who made it. I'm going to go and enjoy playing with it this weekend.
Great stuff. All right, thank you everybody for joining us for QGIS Open Day. It was lovely to have everybody. Good time to finish the session. Please definitely tune in for next month. We have already some great sessions in the works. I think Dror Borgen is going to come and show us some of the plugin development stuff. Matt Travis wants to come in and give us some updates. So we have some really exciting sessions for next month already lined up. So thank you for everyone. Thank you, Tim, for showing us all of the really cool updates. We really appreciate that. And thank you to everyone who joined us in the room today. Bye, everyone.
If anyone wants to hang around, we can just stay in the room afterwards. And if you want to chat, I'm going to just lurk around a bit longer. You can stop the feed.